Hello, this is Rabbi Dr. Juan Marcos Berjano Gutierrez, and today we're continuing with our study of Jewish perspectives of the afterlife. In this particular stage, we're looking at the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, and we've been focusing in on the concept of Sheol, the netherworld, the abode of the dead, and we've been looking at different characteristics of it as described in different passages. And what we've seen is that sometimes there are different perceptions of it or characteristics that are applied in different verses, in different pesukim. Today, we're going to look at the idea of the finality of Sheol. I think most people assume that, but we want to look at some specific passages that talk about that. So in 2 Samuel, we're looking at chapter 12, verse 23. We read, Ve'ata met lamaze ani tzam ha'uchal lechashibo od ani cholech ela v'chulo yashuv elai. But now he is dead, and the context of this verse is when Melech David, King David, was mourning when his son, by Bathsheba, his previous mistress, was sick. And he was mourning during that period. The child dies, and now he says, "Wherefore should I fast? Can I bring him back again?" And this is sort of the key point. I shall go to him, but he will not return to me. So that's that sense of finality there, that Sheol, you can't escape that place. And then in Job, Sefer Yov, chapter 7, verse 9, and then verse 10, those are sort of one block. Then we'll look at chapter 10, verse 21. The first part we read here, it says, Kala anan vayelech. Excuse me, it's vayalach. Sorry, the screen is very small, so I apologize for my eyesight. It says, Ken yored Sheol lo ya'aleh. As the cloud is consumed and vanish away, so that he goeth down to the grave, shall come up no more. So obviously, if you go down to the grave, there doesn't seem to be an anticipation of a bodily resurrection, or even of a resurrection of the soul, or a continuation at this particular juncture. Although we did see in another part of Job, where there is a sense that the soul, or whatever that is, the spirit without the flesh, encounters God. It sees Hashem. But in this particular passage, it doesn't really, expound on that theme. And then we read the second line. It says, Lo yashuv od leveto, velo yakireinu od mikomo. He shall return no more to his house, neither shall his place know him anymore. Now, here, I think it's interesting, and maybe we can do a video on this in the future. There doesn't seem to be, there could be perhaps an indication of Canaanite ideas on the dead returning to visit their homes. That's something that I thought about when I was reading this verse. That's something perhaps that is being addressed here indirectly. Maybe an Israelite approach to this and saying, the spirit doesn't wander. Once it's in Sheol, it cannot return. But that's certainly something that we can explore in the future. Now, if you look at Job chapter 10, verse 21, then we read this last section here in the Hebrew. It says, Ume lo tisa fishi, v'ta'avir et avoni, ki ata le'afar eshkav, v'shichartani ve'eneni. And why dost thou not pardon my transgression and take away mine iniquity? And this is the key piece. For now I shall lie down in the dust, ki ata le'afar eshkav, and thou wilt seek me, but I shall not be. Now, here, there's not an explicit reference to the ability of an individual to come back, but it's clear that once a person has departed, that there's that chasm, there's that separation. And of course, we're going to look at the question of consulting the dead and things of that nature, which were certainly characteristic of Canaanite practices. And of course, we find that in the Tanakh, in the infamous case of the witch of Endor, or the sources of Endor, a medium. But in normal circumstances, once the person has lain down in the dust, once they have passed, there's no returning, at least in this block. Again, so we'll continue on. We'll look at different passages every video, and we'll just make our way slowly through the process and look at all of the descriptions that are provided to us in the Tanakh as we look to eventually reach the other literature of the Second Temple period and make our way into the early rabbinic era and its literature.